called. There you go. His clients include startups, companies in turnaround, large organisations looking to instill a more agile and innovative culture amongst their staff, with a background that spans graduating from art school. That's interesting. Art school.
Went to Goldsmiths. Yeah.
Oh, okay. A commission in the army and television production. Yeah, you see, you're Elliot's dream, my eldest. Jason strives to bring disparate ideas from a wide field of study to create new insights and solutions that might ordinarily be ignored or even dismissed. Over the years, Jason has had the privilege of working with some of the UK's leading companies, including the BBC, National Trust, Whitbread, producing a wide variety of work. Currently, Jason advises, amongst others, Premier Inn, Boots, MOD, who's that? McLndoe.
McIndoe Hospital.
Okay. Amongst Jason's career accomplishments, he has sat on the BBC's Future Media and Technology Advisory Board, been a founder member of the Email Marketing Association, and an advisor to the National Media Museum. Jason writes a weekly post on LinkedIn, which is what I saw on Facebook, which is attracting an ever-growing number of followers, and is working on his first course for udemy.com, which goes live in July 2105.
Oh, sorry, it must be, it better be 2015.
2015.
Yeah, no, 8:15, really.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
Yeah, it's just gone live now.
Okay, hello, Rachel.
Hello, sorry, I kept getting a fail message when I was trying to log on.
Oh, okay. But you're here now, my beauty.
I'm here.
Okay, right, I'm going to go speak of you. So, and we're going to, so just Rachel up at the minute. I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to find Jason's presentation, which is there. Okay, get rid of that bit. Okay, you tell me when to move the slides then, Jason, I think.
Okay.
Do you want the theme?
Thanks for that introduction, Candy. Can everyone hear me okay? I assume that you can. What I've done here is I put together a program which I've called the Explorer program for Arbonne, because it's all about people going on a voyage of discovery, mostly about themselves, really. And what I've done is put together what I call 7 important insights for sustained success. A lot of the work that I do now is working with startup companies and with their founders. And a lot of the insights that I'm just going to use tonight, we use with those founders to help set up a kind of better business. So, which I think is absolutely applicable to where Arbonne is and where Candy and her team is at the moment. So as we go through this, I think this is better presented to a live audience standing up, but you'll get the gist as we go along. So if we can have the next slide, please.
Oh, hold on. I've got my technical assistant here.
Technical assistant, come to the next slide, please.
Yeah, I know. It's not moving. Why isn't it moving? Okay. Okay. Why isn't it moving?
It's such a good slide, it just won't go.
Yeah. It should move with the arrow.
Try the sort of keys, the kind of up and down keys at the bottom of the keyboard. Is
and the return and the enter.
Is it worth? I mean, as far as I know, there's the next one. Can we?
Do you want this one?
No.
I think we might have to do it like that. And then
if you at the top, can you see enable editing? If you
yeah.
If you do the enable editing bit, it should now move. Is it any good?
Yeah. Yay! Oh no, we're having a slide. Undo.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Number 2. Sorry about that brief pause. The purpose of the program really is introduce some insights on how we can all perform better, which I'm sure we'd all like to find out about. Provide you with the right tools to do that. So how can we perform better? And here's the tools for us to do that with. And also, I think I experienced going to the meeting last Monday, and there's kind of two things I observed. One is that we're, bunch of individuals, but at the same time we've got to work together as a team, and sometimes you can be working so hard on the individuality bit that we don't have enough kind of the team building bit. So what we're trying to do with this program is to not ignore our individuality, in fact bring that out more, but at the same time can we unite ourselves together as a team. So that's really important, because if we can work together as a team and help each other out even more, that's when the real gains are going to happen. And the more people you add to your team, the more the network grows, the more efficient it should become. So if we go on to the next slide, please.
It's not wanting to do it. No. Hang on. It's not wanting to play, is it?
Is it? If you go down, if you put the full screen thing down here, is that on now? And I just wonder.
Sure, you do it, can be then. You know your thing better than me. It's just not.
Yeah. Yes, and what I would do if we were in a live audience is that to get in the right mindset, there's a very simple exercise that we can do, which is essentially that you stand up with your legs slightly apart, and if you put your hands on your hips, now kind of do that sitting down even. If you do that for 2 minutes, your body instantly sends a message to your mind sends a message to the rest of your body that you are going to do something fantastic. And it's actually been researched at Harvard University that if you're going to go into a meeting or address an audience, if you just stand like that with your hands on your hips and your legs apart for 2 minutes, it actually makes you more energized. So what I would do in the context of a live meeting is I get everyone to stand up, shake themselves out a bit, and just put their hands on their hips, because it tells the rest of your body that you're really serious about what you're going to do next. Okay? So that's just something you can do. So every time you're going to pick the phone up to somebody or go and meet somebody in a coffee bar, if you can find an excuse to nip to the toilet or something and just stand there with your hands on your hips for 2 minutes, it has a fantastic psychological effect. And you'll find you come out and feeling a lot more confident about the meeting or about the phone call. And the other thing, which radio presenters do as well, is if you smile just before you pick up the handset, again, psychologically, you're getting yourself into a good space.
And I've heard the one about sticking a pencil between your teeth, so you have to force yourself to smile. Yeah,
you just look funny then. It makes someone else smile. Yeah. Right, the next one, please. I'm just conscious of the time. Okay, so our 7 Explorer insights are, I'm going to talk about pause, breath, moment, calm, serve, gratitude, unique, and there will be an 8th one which I'll reveal at the end. And all of these things you can do for free. You haven't got to go out and buy anything, and you should practice them every day. It takes about 68 days of continual practice of doing something every day for it to become a permanent habit. So you don't expect instant results, but if you stick to this program over the next 2 or 3 months, then you will start to see the benefit. Right? Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, it's working so well now with the technical assistant. Thank you. Okay. Pause. Now, we all live incredibly busy lives, and we're rushing here, there, and everywhere. And in many ways, that's the kind of culture we now live in. We're all rushing around. We're all too busy. And so we need to learn to do the opposite of what we often do. And you need to find time in your day just to pause. It could be for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. We just need to find a quiet moment and do nothing, absolutely nothing. And in that time, just take a moment to think about your day and how it's going. Is it good? Is it bad? You've got too many things on your plate. And contemplate how your life is up to this point and how you would like it to be in the future. So these are, you know, so if you're waiting to see somebody or at the dentist or whatever, use the opportunity not to get bored, but actually welcome the fact that you've got a break in your day and you're actually stopping yourself and you're thinking about what it is I'm doing. And again, that kind of slowing down, what you're trying to do is bring control back to you. Because a lot of the time you feel that you're kind of out of control. You're on someone else's agenda. And this is your ability to bring stuff back to you and control the things that you can control. And everything I suggest in our 7 steps, you control. It's up to you to do that. And if you can do them, you will start to benefit from them. So if we go on to the next one, number 2, breathe. I know we do it all the time. From the moment we're born to the moment we die, we breathe. We breathe every single minute of our lives. But actually, if you're starting to feel overwhelmed, one of the best things you can do is take a breath in through the nose, hold it for a moment, and then just breathe out through the mouth. And if you do that 3 times, in, hold, and out, again, you feel like you're getting control. Just quickly do that to yourself now and just take those 3 breaths and just feel what it's kind of doing to you. Okay, I'll give you a brief pause for you to just to try that. So breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. And as you're going out through the mouth, just concentrate on the breath coming out through your mouth and just do that 3 times. So if you're worried about something, if you're caught up in something, pause and then just do these 3 breaths. And another thing that you can do, which we'll come on to in one of the things, is that you can also just be grateful for that moment. You know, things are moving too fast. Pause, stop, take 3 breaths. And I can guarantee you'll start to feel you're getting back in control. And you can use this all the time. It's really simple. It's free. We do it all the time, but we don't really make it a part of our everyday lives in terms of just consciously breathing, and it will bring you back to a much calmer state of mind. You know, and I teach this to the people I work with in terms of startup companies who are running around all the time, and they actually benefit from this very simple exercise. If we move on to number 3. Thank you. Moment. Most of our lives, if you sat down and said to people, what do you think about most of the time? Most of the time, we're thinking about stuff which has either happened to us, or we're thinking about stuff which is just about to happen in the future. Okay. Very rarely do we just stop and take a moment and think, I'm in the present. So what we need to do through the pause, through the breath, is to bring ourselves back to the moment. And suddenly just look around you and say, actually, I'm sat in the kitchen. And just feel that you're in the moment. So as we start to focus less on the past and less on the future, we'll actually get more out of our day. So we start each day thinking, today I start afresh and I start in the moment. And the more that you can try and bring yourself back from the moment you hear your brain sort of racing off, thinking about what you're going to be doing next Wednesday. Oh my God, I'm still thinking about that terrible curry you had the night before. Just stop and bring yourself into the moment. And you'll actually get far more out of the day and live in the day. And you'll find that you'll become much more productive. And again, you're wresting control back from your racing mind, which is trying to take you off either into the future or into the past. Now, is this all making sense? Just nod your head if a lot of this kind of makes sense and feel there's stuff that you can do. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, okay, moving on to number 4, calm. Now, the key to success is to remain calm. So whatever crisis is going on in your life or whatever kind of stuff is being thrown at you, and it's thrown at all of us every single day, the real art is learning to stay calm. And that's why I put point number 2 is it's not something which comes to us naturally. We have this flight or fright mechanism. So when things happen to us, we naturally want to react. And sometimes we can overreact to situations where suddenly we become fearful, become anxious, become nervous. The key is to try and bring ourselves back to a much calmer state and try and operate from a calmness. And if you look at people who are really, really successful, they can demonstrate that even when the going gets really, really tough, they've learned to stay calm. And when you stay calm, you make much better decisions. You make crap decisions generally when you're anxious, when you're overwrought, etc. And in fact, neurologically, that part of your brain which causes anxiety actually blocks out your ability to make rational decisions. Because 200,000 years ago, we would see something and we wouldn't have enough time to think, is that a woolly mammoth or a tiger? Do I run or do I stay and fight? And we still have those kind of mechanisms in today's modern world. So what we've got to do is actually think, wait a minute, I'm not going to get into a fearful state. I need to bring myself back. I've got some techniques now. I've got the pause technique. I've got the breathe technique. I'm thinking in the moment, and I've got to try and remain calm. As I say, it takes time. It's not something going to happen overnight. And if you get yourself back into these things, the chances are you'll see things a bit more rationally and you will start to make better decisions. So the whole point of this is that we're trying to slow your life down to the speed where you can cope with it better. Okay? And just ignore all the stuff that's flying around, because that's on someone else's agenda. And you don't really want to get caught up in someone else's agenda. You want to be that calm person in the middle that's ignoring most of the other stuff. And most of the stuff that you actually worry about, you can't make much difference to anyway. So if you're waiting for someone else's decision and you've said all the things you need to say and you've given them all the facts, just leave it. If they make a decision, they'll come back and they tell you. There's nothing you can do worrying about it. So just start to concentrate on those things which you have control over yourself. And ultimately, that is yourself. Okay? So moving on to number 5, serve. I know that we live in a culture where, you know, the I word comes out. I do this, I've done that, I'm thinking about this is what I want to do, etc. True winners actually set out to serve other people. Businesses that are really successful put the profit motive to one side and think about, how can this product help my customers better? In what ways can I serve my customers in a way which they would want to be served, which isn't about myself, but is really about them? And it's just the idea, it is much better to give than it is to receive. And if you keep giving out and you're not necessarily looking for anything back, you'll get it back in abundance at the end of the day. It's this idea where it's almost, I'm not saying you stop caring about yourself in any way, but your focus is about on the people around you. And you will start to get that back in ways that I think you never thought of as well. And when you think about what you're doing with Arbonne, think about, how am I serving that person and the goals in their life? Because that's the good place to start. And if you start to serve the goals in their life, you'll be serving the goals in your own. But not only that, you will actually get it back in absolute spades as well. So think of others. Don't be so preoccupied with yourself and your agenda, and start to be supportive and attuned to those around you. And even the people who are not supporting you at the moment, put that to one side and ignore that and think, how can I serve this person? Because eventually they will start to come around to your way of thinking. That's the best way. The best way to go around an obstacle is actually to think that it's not there. So we're going on to the next one, number 5, gratitude. Again, you know, a lot of the time we are chasing dreams, we are after things, we're on the road to fulfillment, and we forget about all the stuff we already have, you know. And part of understanding that is you will look back and you'll already see that you've achieved a lot in your life, and you've also will start to discover what you value most, and this will start to also create a path towards those things which you do value most. And one of the most effective ways of doing that is to buy a notebook, and at the end of each day, for the last 10 minutes of each day, before you go to sleep, just write down all the things that you were grateful for that day, even the stuff that you didn't invite into your life, you could be grateful for the lessons that you learn from that stuff as well. And it's amazing. You'll start to look back on your gratitude notebook, and it will start to build up over the entries that you do. And that's the point that you're starting from. You're starting from the point of, I've already got all of this. How can I add to it? And how you add to it will also be really driven by what you start to value the most. And it could be you value family life the most, or it could be that you value freedom the most, or it could be that you value lifelong learning the most. So start to think about what you can be grateful about already, and add to that each day by all the lessons that life can teach you, and be grateful for those lessons as you go along. And then number 7, which is unique. At the end of the day, success is always unique. By which I mean is that every athlete, every business person, every film star, every pop star, etc., have got to be successful actually in their own unique way. There might only be a little bit of a nuance between one and the other, and there might be 1/100th of a second between someone becoming first or second in the 100 meters. But the reason that they do that is because they have a unique combination of experience, knowledge, skills, physical makeup. No two winners are ever exactly the like. So this goes back to individuality, is that you need to celebrate your uniqueness. You can aspire to be somebody, you can emulate somebody, but ultimately what will make you successful is you and your unique combinations of what you bring to the table. And you shouldn't ever really forget that. And then finally, the 8th one, which is the kind of mystery one, is luck. You often ask really successful people what made them successful, and they often will say, I was lucky. And there's a real lot of truth in that. And it's something you can't plan for, it's something you can't rely on, but you always benefit from it. And if you look back on your own life, at times when you've met somebody new, or something's happened to you, or you got that phone call out of the blue, whatever, or you met somebody by chance and it suddenly changed your life or set your life off a new direction. And there's always that possibility. It's always the kind of the 8th thing. We can go through all the 7 things we can control, but we also must realize at the end of the day that there's a degree of luck. By which I mean is that we can invite luck into our lives, and we can benefit from it enormously. But it's something you should just kind of need to be aware of, because it can ultimately be the deciding factor. And yes, if you work really hard, you can create more luck in a sense. But it's something that, just happens. And it could be by luck that you ended up working with Arbonne in the first place. This time last year, you didn't even know you were going to work for them. You weren't even planning to work for them. You didn't even know about them. But by some lucky instance of meeting somebody who introduced you to the concept, you're suddenly now, a year down the line, working with them. So that's how luck can play a part in your life. And you shouldn't really underestimate its power. But as I say, we can't really plan for it, but it's there. And if we go on to the next one, and we're almost finished now. And really, when it comes to overall well-being, there are kind of 4 elements that we need to consider as well, and shouldn't forget. There's our physical well-being, and that can be, getting enough sleep every night, getting 8 hours of sleep, exercising, eating the right kind of dietary needs, etc. And we shouldn't ignore that. The healthier that we feel, the better that we kind of feel. I think that's kind of really important. The next one is, our mental attitude. Again, how can we stay positive? How can we sort of, even when the chips are really down, find it within ourselves to kind of step up to the challenge? And again, we can work and we can develop programs for all of these things when we look into how we can improve in each one of these areas. On emotional side as well, in terms of our gratitude, our well-being, the love that we give out, the love that we do, the love that we want to give back. And finally, on the spiritual or good citizen side, so if you already have a spiritual side, fantastic, and that might find its way in religion, in mindfulness, etc. Or if we're more of an agnostic, and just being a good citizen. What does it mean to be a good citizen? So if we get all of those things and we work on all of those things every single day, they constitute you. And if we, going on to the next one, and if we set out to improve on
Yeah,
14.
there isn't the next one.
Oh, is there not? There should be. Well, there should
Weird.
be. Oh, okay. Very quickly, the next one was it's about 1% at the end of the day. Is that if you work on each one of these things, just 1%. I'm going to make, if I'm currently sleeping 7 hours and I really need 8, then I'm going to sleep 7 hours and 1 minute to the next night, etc., etc. So it's not all about going 100% on one of these things, but if you can improve each one of these areas that you work on, just 1% each day, in 100 days you're 100% better. And if you imagine you're working like this across the whole team, then the whole team's performance becomes better over a period of time. And then the final slide, which again I apologize should be here, was really about creating a life outside of Arbonne as well, but which can kind of feed back. And I talk about on this slide the kind of things that I do. I find gardening real stress. I do a lot of walking, I do a lot of reading, and how all these other things can all again come back and feed back into the total you, from which you will benefit immensely. So that's the sort of program that I would sort of take people through. As I say, it's all for free. It's all stuff that you can do yourself. And if you were to practice it on a daily basis, I can assure you that you as a person and your performance as a person will just sort of gain, and the performance of the team overall will gain. So that's the kind of introduction to the program itself.
Okay, thank you, Jason. I'm just going to stop the share and then stick us back on gallery, and then if anybody's got any questions, you can unmute yourselves.
Got somebody at the door. I'll be back in a minute, yeah?
Beg your pardon?
Got somebody at the door. I'll be back in a minute, all right?
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me?
Got that. Yeah, well, brilliant, Jason. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
We're obviously a lot of us, well, Nikki, Lucy, Sue and I have all been in quite a while, and I know Sarah, you've probably been reading some stuff, and Rachel, is she back? Are you back? No, she's gone. Yeah, so obviously we read a lot of self-development, and these are kind of quite a lot of the elements that are in it, but it's brilliant to have that sort of as a presentation that we can run through, and there's all those steps. So
yeah. Really summarised and condensed into a simple daily routine, because you get overwhelmed by all the things you read, and they're all very similar and they all link in, but to have it there, I think I might just type it up and laminate it so it's in my bag. I'll have one if you like.
and they're all things which I use as well, and I think I benefit from using all of those things, and especially when you feel that life is getting out of control. You just very simply and very quickly you can bring it back to you, and to you feeling back in control. And I think that's almost the most important thing. And to remain calm, that's absolutely, if you can get to that point where you can find that calmness every time, then you will find, even if it looks like there are no decisions you can make, or there's no way out of this, you will find a better way, and it really does work.
Yeah, I mean, I read I think it was Chris Widener. It was an audio I was listening to. Have you heard him, Chris Widener?
No, I haven't. No.
And he described, is your life like a paper cup being blown around in a windy car park? And I love that sort of, that's a really good vision of, yes, people, can be, I'm this thing, I'm now on this thing, and, I'm panicking about this, that, and the other, and to actually, like you say, remain, in yourself and in the moment, and just sort of calm down and bring it all back.
And I think that the key is to really only concentrate on those things which you can control, which is actually your opinion about what happens and your reaction to what happens to you in life. You can't really control this. As I said before, if you're waiting for someone to make a decision, or you're always waiting on somebody else, then you feel powerless. And then, so you're better off kind of just say, okay, fine, I'll wait for that to happen, and then get on to the next thing. Exactly. It's about just understanding that the things that you can control and the things you can't control. And the things you can't control, you can't control. And it's just better realizing that. And you can try and influence things, but you're better saying, well, but this is what I can do. you know, and just get
with age and experience, doesn't it? When you're young, you just want to sort of deal with everything instantly, instant answers, panic when you can't, and then you really learn as you get older that actually if you just literally sleep on things or just take it all a bit steadier, it works better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and exactly. If we're presenting the business in a professional manner and we're giving everybody the facts, then you know it's up to the individual to decide what whether they want in or as a consultant, as a preferred client, or you know to have nothing to do with it. So you know we've got our cards on the table, and then we're just waiting for people to make a decision. You know, and and even if even if it's not for them, that there's a dog's bottom. I've lost my complete train of thought now. Looking at your dog's bottom, Sarah.
No, I think go back to your point, Canny, about you tell everything. I think again, you as you say, you present all the facts, you do all the things that you need to do. You ask them, is there anything I haven't covered? Is there anything? I think it's as you say, as long as you're doing that to the best of your ability, and you think you've got the whole points to, then really that person will either come back with more questions or they're going to sign up. I think that but then you've got to think, okay, I now need to go on to the next thing I need to do. I need to go into the next person, and that's what you can do. That's what's in your control at the end of the day. And if you do that as genuinely and as empathetically as you possibly can, then people will make a decision based on that. You know what I mean?
And I think the whole point about when we all join because we want some more money, essentially. I mean, I don't think anybody would say, well, I joined because I thought it was going to be an amazing community. I mean, you might if you've had an experience of it, but essentially, if you hear the presentation for the first time, you think, well, yeah, I could do with a bit of extra cash. I'd like to go on some nice holidays, etc. I'd like to get out and retire early, but that quickly supersedes by actually what you're offering to the people that you love and care about, and the fact that you can give them a lifeline and them hope for the future. So that bit of it does quickly sort of disappear, and because you're concentrating on other people so much and helping them, as you say, you're giving, and then actually by default it comes back to you anyway, tenfold. Which is,
and I think even if you're being honest with yourself and saying, well, the reason I joined it because I want the extra money, that in itself is fine, absolutely fine. But the way to think about it is what money can buy, in a sense. And if it's more holidays or it's a greater sense of freedom or whatever, put that as the reason. In a sense, not because you're denying the fact you're doing it for money, but actually, you're not. I say, look, here's the money. All it is paper and an agreed currency. It's what you want to do with money, And I think that if you talk to entrepreneurs, the money thing is just a function. Okay, it's just a functional tool. It's like a can opener. It does something, and as long as you are absolutely straight about what you want to do with it, and then say, I'm doing this because I want more holidays. Okay, and to do that, I just need to earn some money. That's the functional bit, and I think that because it's much more, your mind and body will react much better to the concept of holiday than it will to the concept of money. You know what I mean? It's much more of an appeal. So don't forget why you're doing it by all means. And say, this is what I want to do it for. It's just that the money